So, every morning on Sunday, we pass by a Dunkin' Donuts near our house that we can't go to any longer. Because if you get to know me, and if you're new, you'll get to know me. You'll get to eventually realize that I have a lot of problems. And I have these run-ins at these restaurants, and it's really bad. I feel bad for my wife particularly because, she's like the peaceful type and me, I'm the aggressive type. So what happened was Dunkin' Donuts, had this free promotion at that particular Dunkin' Donuts that we passed by coming here to church. And, all these food places, I have these problems. And this particular day in the summer, they were giving free iced coffee. You know those promotions? So I'm Asian. I like free things. I'm cheap. But usually, the person that owns Dunkin' Donuts is Indian, right? So, there's a collision of cheapness that's going to take place in any moment. And, at that time, Nathan was very young, and it was really hard to take him out. So, basically you get a free coffee if you go inside. And what I did was I parked the car right so that the owner, could see my wife. Because our son wasn't there. He was like 1 year old. And, we didn't want to, go through the hassle of him going out. So I went there and I told him, I said, listen, dude, I want that, free coffee, the promotion. He's like, okay. And I go, my wife is right there. Dude, we have a son. He's out there in his car seat and, you don't want to come out. So can you just give me another coffee? He goes, no. The deal is she has to come inside. I said, stop being a douchebag. He's like, it doesn't matter. The deal is you have to come in. I'm like, listen, let me teach you about business. All right? Let me teach you about business. The business is you want to treat me well, because I've been coming here how long? The last couple of years? How are you going to treat me like this? And he goes, no, tell her to come inside. And I said, he goes, you want to teach me about business? He goes, I own this Dunkin' Donuts. I go, that's why. I go, listen, you need to listen to me. I said to him, and I quote, I said, that's why you're here serving me coffee, and I'm outside with my Lexus and my son and my wife waiting for me. And he went. And most of the times, pastors that tell you the story would be embarrassed by it. But I want to just let you know that that's who I am. And I'm not embarrassed by it because I am if you want to personify douchebagness, that's me. Sam Kim is douchebag. I don't just do bad things, I am bad. Sam Kim is bad. Not from the outside, but from the innately inside. I don't just try. I try not to do bad things, try not to be a douchebag, but it just happens everywhere I go. And to be honest with you, I go, if you've been on the subways in Manhattan lately, there was this campaign called Good Without God. You guys know what I'm talking about? Good without God. And there's this new movement. Good without God means I can be morally a good person apart from God. And I could be, clever apart from God. I can find out my own purpose. I don't know about you, but for me, in my experience, I try to be nice. I try to be good. I try to be a noble person, but I can't. I'm honest with you. And that's why Paul says in the Bible that the message of the cross is foolishness. And I want to remind us of this again. The message of the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing, but it is the power of God to those who are being saved. Me, it is the power of God to me. Why? Because I realize that Jesus Christ had to die on the cross simply because I'm a douchebag. That's why I need Jesus. And there's this real, twilight of the church in America and what we conceive the church to be. The church, and a lot of people tell me this, I went to the church, I got hurt. Of course you're going to get hurt by the church. All those people there are pretending mother effers. All those people are pretending to be this polished version of the Flanders when they're not. Of course you're hurt by it. What do you think? The church is supposed to be full of people that are good without God? No, that is an error. The cross is there because you can't be good, even if you want to be. And this is where the story of Abram in Genesis 12 comes to fruition, isn't it? This guy is the father of faith. The person, the character you see, the protagonist in our story, in the story of Genesis 12, is the man that founded Christianity and monotheism and Judaism. Founded all three things. Real stand-up guy. He's called the father of faith. But if you really look into his story, I think we have to come to realize why people might want to come to church and why people might want to hear the gospel story once again, the way it's meant to be told. And the question we're going to ask today in this Where Jesus series is, where's Jesus in our weakness? Not in our strength, not in our perfection, not in our gifting, not in it, but our moral weakness, or thinking you're too clever, and being clever gets you into trouble sometimes. So where is Jesus in our weakness? So let's look into the text, and I think we can find Jesus and the gospel story being unpacked for us. And if you are a douchebag like me, you're in the right place. But if you're good without God, I mean, hey, power to you, dude. Pretend all you want. But I know for sure, for me and for most people, I need to be saved. The cross doesn't make sense to me. Christianity is irrelevant if you're a good person, if you're not that bad. And so we come here. Where is Jesus in this story? Okay, so first of all, Abram. What does this story tell you about Abram's character? Right? First, you read here. First of all, Abram is not close to perfect, right? I mean, empirically, based on this text, look what he says. He goes, there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down to Egypt to live there for a while because the famine was severe. So Abram was a clever thinking guy. He was a progressive thinker. You know, he was a guy that thought outside of the box, you know, didn't hold on to his traditions. That's why he left the Ur of the Chaldeans, listened to God. And you got to remember that Abram here is in obedience to God from the call. And he comes to this place and he was about to enter what? Egypt. Then he says to his wife what? Sarai, I know. He's so clever. He compliments his wife. You know, Sarah, they're going to know how hot you are, girl. Your hair looks real good today. The hair color, and whatever you did, you look really good. You know that, babe, you know. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to have to lie. We're going to tell you you're my sister. So first of all, if you're the wife, you're like, no. You know? He's like, no. You see, but what's going to happen is, I have a good idea. I have a great idea. So we're going to lie. We're going to go down there, and we're going to stay for free. Because you're so hot. Your hotness is going to get us free things, you see? I mean, come on. You know you're a beautiful woman. I know you're a beautiful woman. They're going to know you're a beautiful, and she was. But morally, this is the man that God's called to found Judaism, monotheism, and Christianity. He's far from perfect. Empirically, he's far from perfect. Romantically, I mean, horrible. He's far from perfect morally. And practically speaking, there was a problem with Abram, I think, that we New Yorkers identify with. He thought he was really smart. He thought that if he could use his mind, he could get away with anything. He thought his cleverness and his wife's exploiting his wife's hotness would end well. He didn't think about that when he goes to Egypt and he's treated well, Pharaoh's going to want her. And we see that she's in that position. So what's Abraham going to do? Abraham thought, oh yeah, we'll get all the stuff. And at night, we'll run away. They will chop you to pieces. Don't you read stories, myth about pharaohs? And how they kill you? Mummies, mummify. I mean, they would mummify him alive. Kill everybody in his family. His cleverness got him in trouble. So practically speaking, morally he was far from perfect. Romantically, epic failure. Practically speaking, he got everybody into trouble because he thought he was too smart. And that smartness got him in trouble. You see the weakness of Abraham in this passage. And I love that. The protagonist here in this story, you find the weaknesses of his life. Like you find weaknesses in yours. You see, if you want to really understand the gospel of Jesus Christ, you really have to understand that there was no way Abram could get out of this situation. His cleverness got him into deep trouble, and his family into trouble, everybody into trouble. He had to be saved. I remember Eddie Cho, one of my favorite guys that I mentor. He's one of lay staff, meaning I work him like a dog in Jesus' name. And Eddie wasn't always like that. People, Eddie was, if there is, I told you my douchebag story, this guy is times 2 of that, right? So I told him, hey, Eddie, I think it's time for you to lead, I think it's time for you, after, you came to Christ, you dedicated your life, I think it's time for you to lead some small groups. He's like, no, I don't do that, Pastor Sam. I give money to Jesus. That's big enough. No, the Lord's leading you to lead small groups. And it happened to be leading small groups of all girls. I don't know how that happened. But so the day he goes to lead small group, he comes in the city, he's praying up, God, I don't know, I'm kind of nervous, God, I want to help people and, whatever. And he was praying, he's going in, and then suddenly he comes to the city, he's by the park, and this big black guy with this brand new Hyundai, Nissan, whatever, embellish part of the story, but he parks takes a spot, and Asian anger erupts, like injustice, bigotry, really someone just took the rug on. Really, he was pissed, and he was about to lead small group, and he had a choice. He had a choice to walk away from this incident, but he couldn't. He took his keys out. He thought he was clever, He was looking for the guy, big guy. Nowhere to be found. Big smile, keys, car. I think I'll key it up. And then when he comes out, he'll know not to mess with me again, because he'll never see me again anyway. He keys up the car. He calls me, Pastor Sam, I don't know if I can do this. When I just keyed somebody's car up. And I told him that's why we're effed up and we need Jesus. He thought he was clever until next time, around the same place, the big guy shows up. Eddie looks at the face of death. Darkness overwhelming him. And Eddie's like, what's up? And the guy, the big black guy with tears, says, yo, dude, that's my new car, man. Eddie thinks he's a tough guy, but inside he's, Care Bear. And he says, all right, dude, how much you need? He said, he went to the ATM, gave him some money, and that was it. They fixed it. Now, the moral of the story here, the small group leader that leads small group before keys up someone's car, the man that was chosen to found monotheism, Judaism, and Christianity, lies about his wife, tries to cheat Pharaoh. This sets up the gospel really well, doesn't it? If you want to know where Jesus is in this story, if you want to know where the good news is for people like that, if you're really good, it's not going to matter to you. It's not going to be relevant for you, because the message of the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing, but it's the power of God to everyone here that are douchebags and mother effers. That's good news for you. The gospel is good news for you. And this is the lesson you have to learn if you want to know where Jesus is in the story. And the truth is, the gospel, the power of the gospel hinges, say hinges. It hangs upon the balance of our effed upness and his awesomeness. The power of the gospel hinges on the fact that you are effed up, depraved. John Newton calls it wretched. I call it, 180 calls it effed upness, douchebagness, whatever you want to use. Here you see Abram being saved in spite of his imperfection and weakness because of God's what? Awesomeness. That's the gospel. The good news is you deserve nothing but what's coming to you and me, but there's a good God, a God of redemption. And the motif of the story as God weaves through the Bible, from Genesis, is that even though you're bad, I told you Sam Kim is bad. You're bad, but God is good. And because he's good, something for the first time in human history, an element that we do not know very well comes, and it's called grace. Grace is getting something you do not deserve. And you should see it show up here. So, my question for you is this, an honest one. Maybe it's time to admit, maybe you're not that clever like Abraham. You're not that good. And you're not that strong. And in your weakness, you can see and experience and hear the gospel. The good news. That even though you're bad, God redeems you because he's what? Good. But, okay. Go past Sam. That's nice and dandy, but I don't like being weak. Me too. I hate it. Being vulnerable? Hate that crap. The Bible says the first shall be last and the last shall be first. That's not fair. If you want to be the greatest, be the least. I hate that. Honestly, if apart from God, I hate the gospel. Because it tells me that only in my weakness can I be saved. And who wants to be weak? Who wants to be vulnerable? I want to be Diesel. I want to be, invincible. I don't want to need anything or anyone. I want to make it on my own. Anyone in this room? I want to just be, the man. I don't want to bleed. I don't want to cry. I don't want to need you or any other people. I just want to be strong. But the truth is, only when you are weak, only when you're vulnerable, can the gospel save you. Only when you're weak can other people love you. And the truth is, we need people. We need God. It's one thing to embrace your limitations. To say, okay, I'm not perfect. Didn't take me long to embrace that. It's another thing to say, I need salvation. The next step from limitations. I need to tell someone, I need you. I need you to hold my hand and pray with me. I hate people praying for me. Still have a hard time with that. People pray for me. Why do you need to pray for me? I'm good. That's where intimacy comes. That's where salvation comes. Salvation comes from the step after limitation, salvation. Salvation is actually receiving the help, which is admitting that you're weak. And the Bible says, in our weaknesses, power is made perfect. And we see that here in this story. So, we learn about Abram's character in the story. So let's look at what God's character is. Now, Abram lies about his wife. So just out of that lie, what does he deserve? He deserves whatever Pharaoh wants to give to him. And Pharaoh, based on the stories and the myths, he's very creative in how he wants to kill people. Abram deserves, what does he deserve? Does he deserve salvation? I mean, look. But the Lord, I want you to read this first sentence with me. But the Lord inflicted serious diseases on Pharaoh and his household because of Abram's wife, Sarai. Dude, wait a minute. Why is God inflicting diseases on Pharaoh? He's not the one that lied. He's the one that was the good guy. Right? He's the one that said, oh, Abram, he's your sister? She's hot. You know, I could see in my mind how all the servants went to Pharaoh and said, there is someone hot that came from another land. Do you want to see her? And Pharaoh's like, yeah. I am Pharaoh. I deserve hotness. Right? And so, if anyone should be punished, it should be Abram, not Pharaoh. So why did God do it? Why does God save Abram? Why does God save someone that doesn't deserve to be saved? What's it called? Grace. It's called grace. I remember my stories with restaurants and drive-thrus are bad, but I'm really unlucky with cops. Everybody on my staff, they get off tickets. Me, I get arrested. Seriously, for the same offense. Last time, John and Andrew Park. They both had their license suspended for some reason. Andrew calls me, "Yo, Pastor Sam, you might have to bail me out from jail. I just got pulled over." I'm like, "Why?" "I don't know, but I'm just letting you know. You might have to bail me out." I'm like, crap. And he goes, "I knowing my luck, he's getting, and Andrew tells him about, I'm a staff of a church and blah, 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 blah. And the cop goes, "Oh, okay, that's fine. I'll give you a warning." I'm like, what? The cop gave you a warning? The cop pulled me over. I'm like, "Oh, I'm a pastor." Because I don't care. You don't look like a pastor, you look like a douchebag to me. John, he gets out of the car, his license suspended. He has his uncle's PBA card. He runs to the cop out of the car. If I ran out of the car to give my PBA card, I would get shot. Guarantee you. He runs out of the car, man, cute, Cop goes, "Oh, I get it." Gives him just a speeding violation. No arrest. Me? Arrest. Handcuffs of everything. Is that fair? That's not fair. How come they get off the hook and I get hooked up? What? That's not fair. Yes, it is. I have a violation. I deserve what I got to me. I could be mad about it because the other cops showed favor and grace to the other two, but I got justice. Abram deserved justice. All of us deserves justice. But Abram here got grace. That's the gospel. Where is Jesus in the story? He literally becomes our what? Ultimate source of redemption. Listen, salvation is not an action. It's not just a one-time thing. It's not a benefit of getting off the hook. Salvation is a person. Don't fall in love with the action. Fall in love. Get to know the person that's gracious. That's the gospel. That's the person of Jesus Christ. That's where he is. That's where he is in our weakness today. That's why it's called the good news. I love it. It saves people like me. That's why I love Amazing Grace. It's just not a good song, even though it is. That's why I love it, because I need that grace. Do you? Do you want that grace? Let's stand and pray together.
My name is Andrew Lee. I go to SUNY Downstate in Brooklyn. I'm a mid student there.
Hi, my name is Sungmin Kim. I'm 27 years old. I work in private equity.
Hi, my name is Diana. Nice to meet you. Okay. Yeah, so what's going on?
My name is Michelle Kim. I'm a sophomore at Tottenville High School. I'm 15.
Hi, my name's Danny Kim. I'm 16 years old. I'm part of 180 Youth, and I go to Staten Island Tech.
My name is Tajwa, and I go to Stuyvesant High School. I'm a freshman, 14 years old.
My name is Hongyu Hong, and I'm 16 years old, and I attend Tottenville High School.
So you're ready to dedicate your life to Christ?
I recently just came to Christ.
How I came to Christ? Am I supposed to tell you the whole story? Because it's really long.
After I accepted Christ into my life, he really started to move.
You know, nothing's really under my control.
I know I should just trust him, but I'm not, you know, it's kind of habit when I'm like actually in the moment.